Alright, welcome back to another episode of Witch on the Holy Night. Aoko and Alice should be returning soon, and kinda expecting to help, lose once she sees who arrived, and stuff. Yep, Aoko and Alice would be returning from the excursion soon. Uh-huh. This was Misaki City's only subway line. Only half a year had passed since its opening, and at the end of the fairly new platform, there the two girls stood. The time was 6:30 in the evening. They had been idling for around 20 minutes since returning from Arisaka, and had yet to return to street level.
Aoko.
There was a hint of irritation in Alice's voice.
ちょっと待って。あともう一回だけ。ね。
Aoko begged Alice, hands together, trembling from the cold. It was rare to see her act this childish. There's no doubt Tobimaro would consider this behavior more strange than cute if he were there. From the end of the platform, Aoko peered into the creeping darkness to where the tracks lead. Led. I woke up again. Once again. It's Saturday morning. So give me a moment, my brain's about to...
あなたの趣味変わってるわ。
What is she doing? Or is she just literally being, oh, I'm cold, I can't wait anymore. It's better sitting at the bench with forbearance. Any other day and she would have been fine heading back by herself. But today she was in a good mood and decided to humor Aoko. If possible, she would have liked to return still in good spirits. As such spells of positivity, for her at least, tended to dissipate sooner rather than later. Eyes calmly closed, her placid demeanor conveyed her feelings well enough. Thus the two of them waited at the platform alone for a subway train they had no intention of riding. A recently opened subway? High prices and low familiarity made for relatively few passengers coming from Misaki City. Thanks to the low foot traffic, the platform was still as good as new. There is something primeval about the subway devoid of people. It has a picture of tranquility, free of human interference, lifeless and silent. A land unmolested by living creatures where only speechless organisms dwelt. The artificial fluorescent lighting highlighted its soullessness. It was a cave where the light ended and the shadows began. Riderless vessels disappeared into the dark. The platform wedged between the two tracks, like a jetty stretching out into a subterranean sea of black. In this place, far remote from the world above, Aoko waited with eyes closed for the familiar rumble. It was Aoko who proposed that they wait their return and wait on the platform. The reason was simple. Aoko Aozaki enjoyed the soothing sound of passing subway trains.
今年はもうライブハウスに行けそうもないし、これぐらいのわがままはいいでしょ
She said to Alice, her eyes still closed. Alice thought even now the 3 trains had already passed following her decision to stay with Aoko. Silence again. Aoko waited for the next train with anticipation. Alice sat and stared at the wall of the subway patiently. According to the display board, the next train was due to arrive in 5 minutes. From the dark tunnel came wind and rumbling. A purposely placed battlefield now surrounded the platform. There was no sound of any station personnel, and entrances and exits were few and narrow. With the lack of bystanders, the field was hardly necessary. Suddenly, 6 figures appeared in front of the stairs leading to the entrance. All sharing the same face. Motionless and with smiles like the crescent moon, they stared at Aoko and Alice.
鈍っているにも程があるわね。
Alice let out a quiet sigh.
どうかしたアリス？どうも何も。この駅で降りたのはあなたと私だけなの。気づいていた？そりゃあね。相変わらずここの地下鉄ってば利用客が少ないって。
Aoko cut herself off by touching in annoyance.
で、そういうアリスはいつ気がついたの？憂鬱なことにたった今よ。青子ばかり責められないわね。あなたと私が一つならこんなこともなかったのに。つまらない例え話は口にしない。
Now a moment are making eye contact, their words stoic and calm. In contrast, the figures near the stairs began to stir. They advanced in unison on all fours as though it regressed to a quadrupedal state. Like human-sized ants. One after another, they swarmed forth. The din of clattering came not just from the platform entrances, but from the subway tunnel as well. At a glance, they numbered at least 30 strong. The creepy sound of skittering echoed off the subway walls.
信じられない。これだけの自動人形集めたらうちどころかフランスの一等地も買えるんじゃない？ええ。もっともこんな出来じゃ買い手は見つからないでしょうけど。なんだ、ガラクタはガラクタか。
One of the horde leapt forward in response to Aoko's insult. There was a sudden charge like a hurtling dump truck. Alice remained still. As though expecting to attack, Aoko swung her right arm in an arc. The blue missile of light was easily repelled. Her magic bullet snap had little to no effect against the puppets. They scrambled over each other like frogs, heads jerking and twisting in search of prey.
全部で30か。悪いけど一人でやらせてもらうわよ、アリス。この前の実力と思われたままじゃ不愉快だ。
As she spoke to Alice, who was still standing next to the bench, Aoko stepped forward to the edge of the platform. From the myriad of regrets she still had from the amusement park, the house of mirrors stung the most. She was caught off guard in the previous engagement with those puppets. With adequate preparation and confidence, and Alice as a backup, she would not let that happen again. Igniting her magic rest, she would have revenge and be vindicated from...
私の後ろまで下がって青子。そこにいたらあなたまで食べてしまう。
It took Alice raising one finger to the sky for Aoko to stop. Oh gosh.
待って、アリス、それは。
In the depths of the ocean black, the bells of night chimed out. The jetty, as if embraced by a sea god like Poseidon or Waratsumi, I don't know who that is, was awash with white particles.
青子のやり方じゃ跡が残るでしょう。もうじき次の電車も来るし、それに。
From beyond the white whale, her form blurred and stretched upward on tiptoes. Like a melancholy ballerina. The figures surrounding the prima ballerina bristled in response to this strange aura. The puppets were inhuman mystical vessels. They had far more reason to fear Alice than they did the human Aoko. They began to flee. Whoever their master was, they sensed enough danger to order a retreat. now you're totally fucked. However, it was too late. The lead dancer in this ballet had them captivated, unable to move, as if their Achilles tendons had been severed.
それに
Yeah?
気分を台無しにされたのはあなただけじゃないわ。
She removed her black glove. Unlike her mentioned demeanor, her cool aura morphed into a fierce, biting cold one, freezing all in their tracks. Gloves floated to the ground. The white haze grew ever thicker. The massive shadows cried out for mercy.
さあ、ごっこ遊びをしましょう。
Bye-bye, puppets. Bye-bye. In the dense, nebulous mists, a dark fairy tale manifested. What could this be? From the side, the only thing she McGlinney was the sound of her voice. A macabre melody. Oh, so, voice lines. So voice lines. Neat. That's not that is something else. Feasting, grounding, crouching. But they do kind of look like voice lines. At last, the final puppet fell. On the walls, on the floor, on the ceiling. The tragic sense of their demise filled the air. Guess she turned all of this into a silent hell. The twisted shrieks plastering the subway surfaces like indelible blood-like stains. Al, the puppets, promptly yet slowly as though to savor their taste, were completely devoured by that mystifying monster. I'll save one appendage, no submerged arm on the platform.
持ってきてたのあれ。
Naoka spoke sideways to Alice, making no attempt to hide her disgust. What was it? A beast of the fog? One of our great free ploy kickshaw, the mind stage Rose Hound. Wanted Snatch, that's a familiar name. It was a name carrying immense violence and devastation. Naoka's words stung, since Alice was the one harboring its true form. The great free ploys wielded terrifyingly powerful curses. It was one thing to carry it around for self-defense, but keeping it a secret from our companion did not amuse Aoko in the slightest. It was like going out to eat with a grenade in your pocket. Well, I'm glad that she didn't use us back at the amusement park.
まあ、次からは一言お願いね。他のプロイならいいけど、今のやつだけは別よ。できれば洋館限定にしてほしいぐらい。悪かったわ。でも、最近何も食べさせてなかったから。
How caring. Alice walked slowly towards the puppet arm along the platform. What had just occurred made perfect sense. It needed to eat. So she let it eat. But the beast could not be seen, and there was no bloodshed on account of the victims being made of plastic.
青子、ちょっと。
Alice said, picking up the puppet arm.
これを見て。私たちは今まで相手を人形使いと思っていたけど、正確には違ったみたい。わかる？この人形たちは新しすぎる。この子たちが作られたのは17世紀以後よ。それはそれで信じがたいことだけど。なんですって。
Those sounded contradictory. Automata typically perform better with age. After the 17th century, as the magical concept of using puppets and mannequins declined, automata suitable for combat became harder to produce. In recent years of automata manufacturing, even low-ranking familiars to be used in training could be produced inexpensively and with relatively decent quality. Therefore, it was common for modern puppet masters to collect parts made before the century and use them in their creations. The high price of automata often came not from their combat abilities, but the rarity of the parts used to make them. However, the enemy mage controlling these puppets used them as fodder, as if they grew on trees. The only conclusion that could be made, therefore, was that their current opponent was a spoiled, rotten, upstart mage with no territory of their own to control. Or so Alice and Aoko imagined anyway.
それともう一つ。この構造は三崎氏の結界に似ているわ。まるで自分たちこそがこの町を守る兵士だって主張するぐらい。
Alice presented the evidence to Aoko, who was waving away the fog from around her. She felt profound surprise and then rapid realization.
そういうことなのね。
Aoko muttered to herself, violently hurling the arm against the platform. Her face twisted with anger and a hint of fear.
惜しげもなく骨董品を出してくると思ったら、そもそも出し惜しむほどのものじゃなかったわけか。確かにあの女なら町の結界にも反応しないし、私の欠点も知ってて当然。視点の退去だって簡単にやってのけるわよね。だって。
They're gonna be probably pissed seeing her at their own mansion. Alice quietly looked on in bemusement at Aoko's furious rambling.
青子、これを作ったのはそうなの？
ええ、昔から物を作ることに関しちゃずば抜けていたからね、あの人は。
But why would she deal with all that? Aoko glared at the severed arm, furious at its creator and herself for taking so long to figure out it was her.
でも、ようやく合点がいった。認めたくないけど、今回の敵は間違いなく私の姉貴。この土地の元継承者、青崎東子その人よ、アリス。
The desolate subway platform returned to silence, Aoko's words lingering uncomfortably in the air. The world's most terrifying animals. The short time ago at the Kuonji Estates. So wait, it was much longer than 3 hours? The videotape finished playing. The VCR had automatically stopped playback, forgoing the need to hit the stop button to avoid the static storm. What remained on screen was the reflection of Soujuurou and Aoko Aozaki, sitting opposite each other in conversation.
秘密を知られたから先制なしの直接攻撃。ね。怪獣作を考えもしないのは青子らしいけど。
It was hard to tell if she was being patronizing or indifferent. Aoko Aozaki took a sip from her cup as she listened to Soujurou's story. She would have savored the anecdote about the amusement park careful if it were not for the poor excuse for a cup of tea in your hands.
ありがとう。参考になったわ。
Not for the tea though, it's correct.
ここしばらく青子とは顔を合わせていなかったから、あの子がどんな風に成長したかなんて想像するしかなかったし。それと一応肉親として謝っておかないとね。災難に付き合わせて悪かったわ、宗十郎くん。ほんと、あの子ったら昔から迷いってものがなかったから。
なさすぎると思います。
Sojuurou was returning to conversation despite having to relive those events. About an hour passed by while the two of them sat in conversation, neither short on topics to discuss. Aoko was an easy topic for both of them, so the conversation centered mostly around her.
ところで、さっきから気になってることがあるんだけど、聞いていいかな？
Yeah? The gorgeous posture, her eyes shined with curiosity. Her elegant demure caused Sojurou's heart to beat faster.
気になってることですか？
Despite his caution, he could not help but show deference to her. Whether Toko found Sojuurou charming or not wasn't clear as she affectionately smiled at him.
ええ、一度目はダッシュで逃げられて驚いたけど、今日は違った意味で驚かされた。
Yeah?
ね、そういうのが若い子たちの流行りなの？
はい。
Toko tilted her head, her eyes fixated on the color that Aoko had given him snugly wrapped around his neck.
新手のチョーカー？でもどこから見ても、ほら。
The bespectacled woman did her best to hold her tongue. On a completely unrelated note, in another decade, similar accessories would become a standard part of any visual key artist's wardrobe.
まさかどこから見ても首輪ですよ、犬用の。
やっぱり？けどその首はすごく可愛いわ。よく似合ってるけど、自分でつけたの？
Aoko stared intently, examining the strap. Well, he had never been very conscious of the color till now. For some reason, Sojuurou found himself blushing.
はい、つけたのは自分ですけど。
そうじゃなくて、誰からもらったの？青子？それともクオンジさん？
Now, this is not that cool.
くれたのは青子ですね。
Aoko simply nodded in satisfaction at Sojurou's candid response.
つまり、君は青子の持ち物なわけか。
She coldly muttered, and as the cordial atmosphere began to turn. Sojuurou nodded, naturally oblivious to the sting in her words.
何でも所有されてるそうです。
Yes. Who doesn't these days? He said casually, causing Toko to burst out in laughter. Toko was the quirky type of person to laugh when least appropriate. As her laugh tapered off into a giggle, she picked up her now empty teacup.
じゃあ、これも青子のでしょ？青っていう名前にコンプレックスがあるくせに、青いものが割と好きだから。
そうですけど、おかわりしますか？二人ともまだ帰ってきそうにありませんから。
いいえ、そろそろ帰ってくる頃よ。そういう風に仕向けたから。
Sojuurou casually nodded, still clueless to the premeditation of her visit. But then the strangeness of her phrasing dawned on him, and he tilted his head in confusion.
トウコさん？
Toko sagged once in response.
ごめんね、宗十郎くん。メガネ外してもいいかしら。
He wondered why she would need to ask his approval, but nodded anyway to confirm his consent.
それじゃあお言葉に甘えて。もう少しぐらいは君の反応を見ていたかったけど。
Toko touched the temples of her glasses. If you were to look close enough, you might have noticed how her slender fingers were scarred. Small, fine scars from years of repeated cuts. Instantly, her glasses fell away from her face, resigned to their fateful fall. It happened so fast, Sojuurou barely understood what he saw. The frame cracked into pieces as it slid down her face and onto her lap.
やるもんだ。30体を一瞬とはね。
Aoko could sit behind her veneer no longer. But removing her glasses, the elegant lady of moments ago was gone. Any semblance of warmth and kindness had disappeared. What sat at the sofa was one deplorable mage, her demeanor darkening the room. Soujuurou sat speechless on the sofa. Across from him was a completely changed Toko glaring back at him menacingly. More malice and magical energy was now emanating from Toko than when Aoko tried to kill Soujuurou. She said titillated at the prospect of the young boy's shock and fear at her transformation. Such expectations, however, were often left unfulfilled when it came to Soujuurou.
メガネ壊れましたね。
That will probably cost a lot of money. Soujuurou blurted out in surprise. He hadn't stopped as she reached for a cigarette. They'd been taken out of her sails.
もったいない。大丈夫ですかそれ。
いや、そんなものはいいんだ。多少視力が落ちたところで大ごとにはならないし。そもそも私がある限り、五感による情報にすら主観が入る。すべてこの世は霧の中だ。もともと目に見えるだけのものは信じていないたちでね。
Her speech had taken on a clinical tone. This chill did not seem to shake Soujuurou. Her words try harder, Toko.
そうですか。それでさっきの言葉の意味ですけど。
You can see perfectly well. Wow. So I guess success is well for fashion. Soujuurou began unflinchingly. Toko scowled back at him. After some consideration, she came to the conclusion she needed to be blunt with the boy. By some twist of fate, it was a headache she unknowingly shared with her sister.
意味も何もない。青子たちの帰り道に多少の障害を置いただけだ。私がここにいる間は外で足止めをするように。君は青子の持ち物だと言ったな。ならことさら丁寧に教えてやる必要もない。告白してしまうとね、宗十郎君。私が君たちの敵なんだ。
Though he understood her words, the clock's second hand would rotate fully twice over before anyone next spoke. They sat across from each other, eyes locked. Soujurou's shoulders tightened nervously. He had finally understood the true danger of the situation.
驚いた。
Toko asked with a grin. Despite the spitting image of each other, without her glasses, Toko's smile was rather sinister.
あなたは青崎の姉なのに。
Her smile pierced him as he asked the obvious. Toko was no longer surprised that Soujuurou would be more concerned about the safety of others over his own. In just one short hour, she had come to understand Soujuurou Shizuki better than he knew himself.
逆だよ。姉だから敵なんだ。私には青子からあらゆる権利を奪う義務がある。物質的なものも精神的なものも、その全てを踏みにじらなければ気が済まない。尺度として言うなら、もし青子がこの町に頼っていたのなら、まず町から壊していたぐらい。けど君のことは予想外だった。
Toko, her eyes closed, felt sorrow. Behind her troubled expression, there was a silent conflict.
世の平等に起こるべきか、偶然の出会いとやらに嘆くべきか。これも抑止力というやつかな。無垢な部外者を手にかけるのは世の常だが、この手合いにあったのは初めてだ。いや、そもそもいるなどと考えたことすらなかったな。
Toko sagged at the ceiling and stared in her seat. She seemed to have overcome an unexpected moment of uncertainty.
君は青子の切り札には見えない。排除しておくまでもない善良かつ無能な部外者だ。だから放っておきたいのだけど、私の六感がこう告げているんだ。君を
More plainly put, she had made up her mind to kill him. The soldier was somewhat flattered at how she was grossly inflating his importance in all this. What dawned on him was the fact that, through karmic irony, Toko had inevitably arrived at the same conclusion as her sister. However, this was no time for idle thoughts. Soujuurou had readied himself to stand up from the sofa in such a way as to not draw attention to the plan so clearly written all over his face. Make a run for it.
バカ者。こういう時は半端に動くな。逃げるならさっさと逃げる。交渉するならテコでも動くな。なんというか、そんな風に動かれるとその気がなくともつい反応してしまうだろう。ほら、命が惜しいのならおとなしく固まっていなさい。
殺さないんですか？
今のところはね。私は君が気に入ったし。いや、違うな。正しくはこう。私ぐらいしか君を救ってあげられないのかも、かな。
はい。
She looked at perplexed Soujuurou straight in the eyes. Though actually brown, her eyes gleamed a piercing red, like the edge of a blade. It was at this moment an overwhelming sense of dizziness overcame Soujuurou. His mind went numb, like he couldn't tell who he was. As if he was drifting into a sinister sleep from which he do never awake. Soujuurou clenched his jaw, desperate to maintain consciousness. Toko's eyes devoured him like a bottomless pit of quicksand. And in that moment it all became clear to him. It no longer mattered that she was Aoko's sister, or that she was Alice's sworn enemy. Aoko Aozaki's daily battle with the girls had become his battle. Which is why, when you find yourself feeling a special spark for a stranger met mere moments ago, that feeling is not to be trusted. For you may simply be attempting to fill an emptiness with the same mold as yours, with more emptiness. Soujuurou tried to drag his body away from this heretofore unencountered sense of danger, but found that it would not respond. Aoko tilted her head forward at him, eyes fixated on his.
君の思う通り、私は君と似たところがある。それとも君が私に近いのかな。何？食べ物の好き嫌い程度の類似だが、軽視することでもない。問題は、君が私より偏っているということでね。
Biased. She clearly used a different definition of the word than the one Soujuurou knew. Biased. It meant that he was alone, that he was an outsider who didn't belong in this town. A sudden and seething anger eclipsed his gentle heart.
俺、一人じゃないですけど。
Soujuurou shot back without the enmity he could muster. As he faced this witch named Aoko Aozaki. If he had not, he feared he would never escape her gaze.
だろうな。だからこそ君は偏っているんだ。早くそれに気づきなさい。一番手っ取り早い解決は、それでいいんだと認めることだ。人間なんてたくましいもんでね。別に何もかも放り投げてもうまくいくものなのさ。けれど、青子にはそれは許せない。あれは他人であれ、あらゆることを許さない人間だからな。
Aoko leaned over the table. He reached out, grabbed Sojuurou's collar, and roughly pulled him towards her.
いや、そんなことはいいんだ。ただ純粋に私は君が欲しいと思った。君が自分の名前すら定かではないと名乗った時にね。自分の認識が不明で自分自身が不能と感じる。未来というものがとても自分に関わりのあることとは思えない。となれば必然、心情は過去への逆行を試みる。しかし、所詮ソアの前のモアのように正常な流れの前には時間旅行は押し戻されてしまう。それも私にあって君にあるものだ。ああ、なんて無様な私、なんて哀れな。
Toka rolled up mid-sentence. As she pulled Sojuurou closer, her own eyes reflected in his. She noticed a merciful expression on her face. Sojuurou got to thinking. He had no hostility towards this woman. He bore her no grudge, harbored no desire to kill her. He was aware only of his anger and aimless compassion. He wished that he could give her the answers she wanted. But
あなたの言っていることはよくわからない。
Soujuurou replied apologetically. A rebel replied to the visible question he perceived in her eyes. Toko showed no sign of disappointment. Instead, the corners of her lips turned upward in delight.
そうか。君には言葉の暗示は通じないんだな。意味深なセリフ回しで丸飲みにしてやろうとも思ったが、いや、失敗。小綺麗な建前は逆効果だった。君にはむき出しの原始的な語りの方が良かったんだな。いいよ。ますます気に入った。
Her figure was stuck into his throat as if she were tearing at a ladder. Perhaps he could be hers if only she could rip it off.
少年、青子なぞより私のもとに来い。使い道はないが保護ぐらいはしてやろう。手が空いた時なら気晴らしに愛してやってもいい。
It had taken many approaches, but she seemed to have decided on this one. The lengths to which she went to seduce him were not lost on Soujuurou, and truth be told, they were not wholly unwelcome. But back to the matter at hand.
それはお断りします。
Soujuurou chose the direct response as he did.
なぜ？
だってあなたのためにならない。
He had confidence in that, at least. Toka's estimation of him aside, Soujuurou knew for a fact that he had to escape this woman's clutches. This
Head to head.
dead could only be concluded by one of its two participants, Doko or the individual she was currently infatuated with. On a hunch, the boy mustered out the conviction he could feign. She gently removed her hand from his collar and jabbed him in the chest, causing him to topple back onto the sofa. Thank you.
そうか。なら仕方がない。君も青子の大切な持ち物として考えることにしよう。
As you slowly tried to kill me? The scarred red mage quietly stood up.
青子が帰ってくる頃だから私は行くよ。青子では私には勝てないとだけ伝えておいてくれればいい。
Maybe she couldn't, but maybe Alice will.
それはいいんですけど。
Soujuurou's reply from the sofa stopped the exiting Toko in her tracks. Then, like a student humbly inquiring of a teacher, Soujuurou pointed to the object in Toko's hand and asked,
そのカップどうするんです？
Surprised, she looked down at the teacup in her right hand that she had forgotten she was holding. She didn't even realize that she had been holding the cup the entire time.
これ？うん。せっかくだからもらっていく。
The act of taking something without the owner's permission is commonly referred to as theft. However, this was more likely the typical relationship between Aoko and Toko, share and share alike, and so forth. Soujuurou nodded to show that he understood. Not sure if his nod was sincere or not. Toko smiled a gleeful grin for the second time since taking her glasses off.
やはり変わり種だね、君は。逸材かどうかは別の話だが。
For just a moment, she had returned to the affable Aoko Aozaki he met before the glasses came off. Leaving him with the image of her smile, she departed the mansion. Her broken glasses remained sitting at the drawing room table.
Tadaima!
No sooner had the airy visitor left that Aoko and Alice returned home. Despite Aoko's sour mood, she seemed as merry as ever. Despite everything that had happened and their trip having its fair share of problems, she still had fun. Except for Alice, she's still upset about the toys. Whereas Alice was her usual stoic self. With a form not unlike a parent following behind a rampaging toddler, cleaning up their mess. The scene of their return was like something out of a TV sitcom, and lost in thought, Soujuurou forgot to greet them.
Soujuurou, 留守中何かあった?
Aoko asked, more so out of etiquette than curiosity, while removing her coat. Without answering, he stood up from the sofa.
そりゃ半日分の出来事はあったけど、それより寒かっただろう。お茶を入れようか。
ああ、お願い。こっちも一から作戦練り上げようってとこだから。
Soujuurou was on his way to the kitchen to prepare tea even before Aoko had finished her upbeat response.
なんだろう。どこか変だ。
He was following his same tea brewing routine as always, but somehow something did not feel the same. And so in a trance, Soujuurou turned to the dining room where they were settling down and placed the tea on the table.
これからどうするつもりなの、アオコ。とりあえず足で探すしかないわね。あいつ相手に守りに入るのは良くない。こっちが城壁を作ってる間に一個師団の人形をこさえかねないわ。
Taking words to the shower while ignoring Soujurou's presence. Upon hearing what he said, he stood up and spoke abruptly. Thank you.
探すって、トウコさんを?
Yeah, that one.
それ以外誰を探すってちょっとあんた今なんて言ったの？
トウコさんなんだろ、青崎たちの敵は。
Yep.
さっきまでここにいたよ。
Yep. He answered so casually, Aoko standing there dumbfounded. I was expecting for his memory to be erased of her sister, but no. Just no. Alice stood up from the sofa and went to where the two of them were standing. Her typically kinda and somber features turned reapproachable.
しずきくん、その人何かしていった？
お茶を飲んでメガネを外して帰っていっただけだけど、あれ、よく思い出せないな。
What was once a clear memory seemed to have been scrubbed clean from his mind. Soujuurou was overcome by the same dizziness he felt before. Ow, a sharp dry smack echoed through the room. What snapped him out of his haze was an unexpected slap from Alice. Whoa!
二度は言わないわ。他人を私の家に立ち入らせないで。
Deep within her eyes, beyond the normal cool indifference, was an intense fury. He realizing, however, that it was no ordinary anger, Soujuurou understood how careless he had been.
すまない。アリスにとってここが大事な場所なのは分かってたのに。
Heavy silence followed. Both Soujuurou and Alice stood there, chained to the spot by their own regret. Aoko looked on in amazement, wondering if they would stay this way all night if left alone.
姉貴を通した宗十郎も悪いけど、言ってなかったアリスも悪いでしょ。子供じゃないんだから、いつまでも反省してないで、もっと前向きに話をしない？
So she did partially erase his memory, at the very least. Alice sank her head and sat back down at Aoko's insistence. Soujuurou stood where he was, nursing his stinking right cheek. Pain was pain, but he knew how to take a knock. Nor did the point the crisp strike from Alice snapped him out of his fog, jogging his memory. Hey.
思い出した。青子じゃ私には勝てないって伝えておいてほしいって。
大した自信ね。他には？
She took her favorite cup.
他は基本的に世間話だったというか、ソアとかモアとかよくわからないことを口にしてたな。
Considering the small talk was mostly about the Aoko and her flaws, Soujuurou decided it would be better to take that part of it to his grave.
大河とショーガ？あの人、インドにでも行ってたのかしら。ところで宗十郎、あんた、姉貴に何かされたわね。
Aoko turned to him, glaring at him sharply. He had nothing to be ashamed of, but he looked that way guiltily anyway.
何かって何さ？
思い出せないとか言ってたでしょ？さっきまでの態度もふわふわしてたし。そうか。メガネを外したまでは覚えてたってことは、魔眼にでも見入られたか。
As quickly as she had jumped to that conclusion, Aoko went quiet again, as if the information was of little importance. But it was not enough to detract Soujuurou from breaking it up again.
青崎、魔眼ってなんだ？
魔力を帯びた目のことよ。簡単なものは一時的な混乱を、上級なものは睨んだだけで相手を殺すとかね。
And now pair of eyes can see the weakness of any sort of thing, like quite literally.
バロールみたいな魔眼の持ち主なんて伝説だけだろうし、そもそもそんな魔眼持ちが生まれてくるなら、私たちの悩みもあっさり終わるってものだけど。
Valor that brought forth calamity and could see through his enemies. Oh. Okay, anyways. That would be helpful. Without further context, Aoko knew her explanation was completely lost in Soujuurou.
そうね。わかりやすく言うと、私の魔弾みたいなのを目から照射するようなもんよ。
目から？青崎か。
Wow. Soujurou's confusion deepened along with Aoko's frustration.
だから、あなた、一度目を閉じた後の瞳子の目を見たんでしょ？その一瞬で姉貴の魔眼に捕まったってこと。目を猫名詞に入れ替える魔術師もいるけど、姉貴はそんなことする必要はないから。あの人、生まれながらの魔眼持ちだしね。さしたる準備も栄唱もなしで、シャッターするだけで切り替え自由なの。
Soujuurou potted his fist in understanding. And those glasses keep those powers away properly. Now he thought about it, he vaguely remembered her doing something exactly like that. Everything after was foggy and muddled, and her mystic eyes seemed the only logical cause.
その話は分かったけど、瞳子さんは青崎のお姉さんなんだろ？なんで姉妹で殺し合いをしてるんだ？
He knew it was not something he should ask, but he did it anyway. The question was against the rules. He had no business being involved in this dispute. Aoko closed her eyes to collect her thoughts. She decided it was best for all involved to at least share some background information, if only to head off further questions.
いいわ、話してあげる。姉貴に関わった以上、事情を説明しておかないと危ないし。
If more dangerous people will come to this house with Soujuurou inside it, then yeah.
けど、なんであれ聞き返すのはなしね。この件に関しては、私は私の事情を話すだけだから。
She stared down Soujuurou until he nodded slowly in recognition. Knowing him, she knew this was confirmation enough. The conversation was becoming oddly friendly again, but Aoko sat up a little straighter as she prepared to tell the tale.
姉貴の話をするってことは、私と青崎の家の話と、何より魔術と魔法の話をしないといけない。少し遠回りになるし、他言無用な内容だけど、いずれあんたの記憶は消えるから問題ないってことで。
Aoko made sure to add that disclaimer as a condition for telling him the information in the first place.
魔術っていうのはね、宗十郎。いわば共通のルールなのよ。ルーンやカバラといった魔術系統は、それぞれの科目、世界共通のマニュアルだと思えばいい。教科書さえきちんと持っているのなら、あとは血脈次第で誰でも魔術師にはなれるわ。けど、魔法を使うのは別。魔法は魔術みたいに根源の渦から派生した写本じゃなくて、根源の渦に直接つながるものだから。この根源の渦っていうのは、宗十郎の分かるレベルに落とし込むと、まあ太陽みたいなものと考えて。遠くにあって何より初めにあるもので、それなくしては私たちは生活できないと言った。魔術っていうのはこの太陽からの恩恵を利用しただけのものよ。自然現象の模倣ないし代償が魔術の本質だから。神秘を学び実践し再現するけど、神秘そのものを作ることはできない。いえ、研究の末にたどり着くんでしょうけど、そこには大きな壁がある。人知では越えられないリミッターみたいな壁がね。で、魔法っていうのは太陽そのものを扱うこと。誰にも到達できない場所に行って何者にも真似できない奇跡を起こす。お金をかけようが時間をかけようが今の人類には到達できない技術、それが魔法。次元の壁を越えるっていうか、最後まで走ってみたら全く違うルールでできた世界があって、そのルールを学んじゃったってとこかしら。前に魔術に限界はないって言ったでしょ。あれは人知の及ぶ範囲なら限界はないって意味ね。対して魔法は限界だらけっていうか、一つのことしかできないけど、それも当然なの。だってこの宇宙の仕組みから仲間外れの一つっきりの交点なんだから。
魔術より魔法の方がすごいというのは流れ的にわかるんだけど、限界だらけなんだよな。
限界っていうか、特例、特権、越権の類ね。汎用性はないけど、誰にもできないことを可能とする時点で魔術世界にとっては万能とされる。そもそも魔法は根源の渦にたどり着いた魔術師へのご褒美みたいなもので、たとえその術者に魔法を使うだけの肉体性能がなくても、根源へのパスができただけで魔術的にはやりたい放題ってわけ。要は地球で一番のお金持ちになるってこと。
Soujuurou made an appreciative sound, impressed. On the other hand, Alice looked as though she wished to make Many revisions to Aoka's account.
一番の大金持ちか。じゃあどんなにお金持ちでも一番目でない以上は魔法はもらえないんだな。
まあそういうこと。時々とんでもない角度で確信をつくわねこいつ。あんたの言う通り、同じルート同じ方法で根源にたどり着いても1番目じゃないと魔法にはたどり着けない。どんなに優れていても2番目以降には意味がないのよ。魔法使いが5人、いえ4人か。現存する魔法使いが4人しかいないのは一度使われたルートは閉ざされてしまうから。大昔はそうでもなかったって話だけどね。根源への道、真理への到達に壁を作ったのは皮肉なことに人間自身だった。未知を解明すればするほどルートが閉じていくなんて昔の魔術師たちは思いもしなかったんでしょう。でも結果はこの通り。気がついた時には後の祭りっていうか、多くの研鑽の末この世から魔法は消えていっちゃったわけ。
それは山と町の関係に似てると思っていいのかな。
ミクロな視点で言うなら似たようなものよ。で、つい最近まで現代の魔術師たちは残された最後の席を求めていたけど、それもちょっと前にどこぞの田舎者が横取りしちゃって椅子取りゲームはあえなく終了。あとは魔法抜きで根源にたどり着くため地味で無意味な魔術の研究を続けることになった。もともと魔法なんてのを優先してたのは一部の魔術師だけで、他の真っ当な連中はとっくに見切りをつけてたんだけどね。だって魔術師にとって最終目的は根源の渦への到達であって魔法じゃないし。そのあたりいつの間にかごっちゃになっちゃったんでしょ。卵が先か鶏が先かって話。
よし、全くわからないってことは分かったんで、そろそろ本題に入ってくれ。あ、けど1番目の人間しか魔法使いになれないのに、魔法使いは何人もいるのか
？5人いたわ。最終的に人間に残される最後の課題は5つだろうって一番初めの。
青子、
じゃあ本題ね。魔法と魔術の関係が分かったところでようやくうちの話になるんだけど、青崎の家が代々魔術師だったのは前に言ったでしょ。
Yeah?
歴史的には浅いけど運と才能には恵まれていたのね。青崎はなんだかんだって魔法にまでたどり着いたんだから。
ちょっと待った。じゃあ青崎がその
You're a wizard, Aoko?
私はあくまで魔術師見習い。使えないし使う気もないわよ魔法なんて。私はただ青崎の家を継いだだけだもの。
Naka considered obtusely her ways devoid of emotion. She became a mage not to build magic, but simply because the succession of her family's magecraft was forced on her.
とにかく根源の渦にたどり着くには何代も何代も魔術を研究しなくちゃいけない。自分独自の川を作るようなものなんだから、もちろんその過程は果てがない。よほどの天賦か典型でもない限り魔法を作るなんてできないしね。そしてもし根源にたどり着いてもふさわしい後継者がいなければ一代限りの奇跡で終わってしまう。だから魔術師は血脈を重ねて代々の魔力を時代に積み重ねていく。自分より優れた後継者を生むために。
Now wrapped up the explanation by remarking that it was like producing a thoroughbred. Not that Sojourn knew what a thoroughbred was, but yeah, neither do I. Leaving him as perplexed at the end of the story as he was at the beginning.
そうやって代を重ねて魔術師は作り上げた独自の神秘、守り続けた魔術を次の世代に伝えていくの。きっと最後の最後に全ての疑問を打ち消すに足る答えがあるはずだって。でも魔術師、いえ魔法使いだってみんな悟ってるのよ。自分の代でもその次の代でもきっと最後の最後の最後まで誰もゴールにはたどり着けないって結末を。それを分かっていながら魔術を研究していくのが神秘学に取り憑かれた者の宿命だって祖父はよく口にしてた。けど私の姉はそうじゃなかったみたい。
She left. I can see why, hanging in the air. Alice had no response. The Aozaki family passing down the true magic. Aoko, their reluctant successor. And Aoko Aozaki, her elder sister.
本当は青崎の後継者は姉貴だった。私もうちの家業が何であるかは教えられてきたけど実践することはなかったのよ。魔術師の家系はよっぽど裕福でもない限り基本的に一子相伝だからね。うちほんと財力的には一般家庭レベルだし。で後継者にはより魔術に適したものが選ばれるわけだけど姉貴は確かに天才だった。けどそれは青崎の後継者にはいらない才能だった。その代わり私は心底青崎の後継者としてふさわしかったみたい。まあそれはそれでどうも思わないけど祖父がはっきりと私にくら替えしたのが15歳の冬の頃でさ。姉貴はいきなり4つ年下で今まで魔術に関わってなかった妹に魔法の相続権利を奪われたってわけよ。
そうか、それで。
She do say that she was obligated to take what was Aoka's. Aoka's words were not moments ago, her voice full of resentment as she spoke them.
あの人がどんな思いをしたか私は本人じゃないから知らないけど祖父と言い争って今まで愛用してたメガネを叩き壊して家を出て行ったのが3年と半年前。それから全く消息なしで私は姉の代わりになったの。これが私と姉貴の争う原因でしょうね。
Soujuurou thought the story was tragic, but Aoka's voice had a tone of relief in it. Soujuurou did not know exactly who he should feel bad for anymore.
メガネを壊したか。
そう、あの人昔はすっごく目が良かった。生まれながら魔眼を持ってたって化け物だからね。けど祖父の期待に応えようとして無理して頑張った挙句視力が下がっちゃったみたい。
Aoka wrestled with the memory, not sure if she had everything down exactly right. Soujuurou knew how well Aoka could hide her emotions, and this was not one of those moments.
けどあれに何の意味があったんだろう。メガネをジジイに叩きつけるぐらいならフィンの一撃でも叩き込めばよかったのに。あの人あの頃が才能のピークだったんだし猛録したジジイなんてそれこそ一撃だったと思うんだけど。
Soujuurou shook his head, disappointed in Aoka's misjudgment of the situation.
恨みつらみの話じゃない。そのメガネは大事なものだったんだ。だってそれは誰にだってわかる努力の証なんだから。それを叩きつけたんだ。痛かったんだろうな、瞳子さんは。思い出を自分で壊さなくちゃいけないくらいに。
As Soujuurou spoke, neither Aoka nor Alice noticed the grief he was fighting to hold in. Or more accurately, they could not understand his point of view. After all, in a world where mages are raised to fight the other mages, empathy was in short supply.
けどどうして今頃になって戻ってきたのかしら。 青子の言う通り、瞳子さんならもっと早く美咲氏を奪えたのに。
そうね。そんなに土地が欲しかったのなら3年前に私を殺せば後継者に戻れたのに。世間の荒波に揉まれて気が変わったとか？
違う。青崎は本当にわからないのか。
Soujuurou shook with a faint anger. His voice changed from the boy he thought he knew.
何よ、あんたならわかるっていうの？
誰だってわかる。瞳子さんは青崎が一人前になるまで待っていたんだ。自分が失ったものと同じくらい大切なものをなくさせるために。そうしないとどうにもならない。そこまでしなくちゃいけないほどあの人の怒りは深かったんだ。
Soujuurou gazed at them, wondering why they would not see what he could. Only he was the one that did not understand. The two girls, and above all, Aoko Aozaki, Aoko Aozaki, denied themselves the type of relationships that other normal people are allowed to experience. Toko's actions were not fueled by hatred. While there certainly was hatred behind them, the real reason was, and always has been, Toko's pursuit of true magic. She was an ambitious and talented mage. Her hatred was only her veneer. Thinking of her in any other way would be an insult to the elder sister, who devoted her life to the study of magecraft. All of this Aoko wanted to tell Soujuurou, but instead stopped herself. Even if she had, Soujuurou was not a mage and could never understand. And besides, arguing with him any further would not have brought her any joy. She could not have put it into words even if she had tried. And so...
やけに姉貴の肩を持つじゃない、宗十郎。もしかして一目惚れでもした？
In her own cowardly way, Aoko dodged the subject. She smirked childishly.
肩ぐらい持つ。あの人はかわいそうな人だからな。
Soujuurou did not take the bait. Wow. Aoko was frustrated at his reply.
なぜ？
An icy glare replaced her smile. It did not falter, only plainly stealing.
だって実の妹と争わなくちゃいけないんだろう。それはかわいそうなことじゃないのか？
This was the source of his frustration.
確かにね。
Aoko's eyes narrowed unconsciously, as if hiding from a painful truth. This guy is a poison, she thought to herself. A poison with no antidote. With his words, he was unwittingly bringing her weakness to light.
だけど私も姉貴もそれを何とも思ってないのよ。だってそれ以外に解決策はないんだから。
Soujuurou looked down and frowned in defeat. And that's at you, he muttered. The curtain of night had already fallen. Not even an hour had passed since Toko left the estate, and Soujuurou was feeling the distance between him and the girls. Aoko and Alice felt much the same way about Aoko Aozaki, who seemed more elusive than a phantom.
とにかく姉貴が敵だってことは宗十郎にも分かったでしょ。ならつべこべ言わず君子危うきに近寄らずよ。まあ姉貴もあんたと会って私たちとは全くの無関係だって分かっただろうから、そっちには手を出してこないでしょうけど。
Aoko seemed absolutely certain in her assessment, as if to proclaim that Soujuurou had dodged a bullet. Essentially, she was placing her trust in her enemy's sense of reason.
そうかな。そうなのかな。そうだといいんだけどな。
そうだから安心なさい。昔からいらないものには手を出さないんだから、あの人は。
Wow.
そっか。青崎がそこまで言うなら安心する。あ、いらないものって言えば、瞳子さんが青崎のティーカップをもらうって、セーブルのやつ。
ちょっと待って、あんたそれを黙って見てたっていうの？
No, he was busy being under magic, so...
そうだけど、やっぱりあれは奪っていったのか。
Soujuurou nodded sagely while Aoko fumed. She wondered where his serious manner and tone had gone. Out the window, Soujuurou's frustrating absent-mindedness had returned.
しかもセーブルのカップって私の一番のお気に入り。
Aoko's fist trembled violently, but as much as she wanted to, she knew better than to plant it into Soujuurou's carefree face. Not that he was even capable, but even if Soujuurou did try to stop Toko, it would have gone tragically for him.
仕方ないか。そういえばあの人よく私の持ち物を奪っていったっけ。他人のものを欲しがる癖まだ治ってないんだ。
子供の頃はみんなそうなんじゃないのか？
He wandered it aloud curiously.
そうかな。私のクレヨンとか人形とか取っても仕方ないと思うけど、どうせ粉々にしちゃうんだし。
Soujuurou felt his heart jump into his mouth. The ominous foreshadowing was not lost on him.
それはどういう？
だからあの人って私の持ち物を横取りしてはぶっ壊すのが趣味なのよ。苦節14年、姉貴に目をつけられて無事だったものなんて一つもないもの。
Listening to Aoka, Soujuurou recalled his conversation with Toka. He hoped he was imagining it, but he vaguely recalled her declaring Soujuurou Shizuki as someone's property.
それはちょっと難儀だな。
Soujurou's face turned grim. Not unlike a detective at the scene of a crime, a scene which left no traces of evidence or clues as to how the case could be solved.
でしょ、ひどい姉貴なのよあの人って。
Unaware of Soujurou's turmoil, Aoko calmly sipped her tea. Soujuurou watched as Aoko shrugged her shoulders before looking over to the drum and room clock. No matter how heavy the mood, time kept on ticking.
明日から大変になるね。
Muttered that undeniable victim of the day's injustices. Aoko looked ready to move on from the incident, adding,
そうね。でも今はそんなことより今日の夕飯のが楽しみなんだ私。
I listened to a second that opinion with her silence and a tiny little smile. Comfortable and relaxed, neither of them seemed to have any intention of leaving the sofa to prepare food. Tonight was supposed to be his night off from work, at least until midnight. As Soujuurou knew, until the clock struck midnight, he would be serving on hand and foot the two ladies of the house. For one, it would take at least an hour to prepare something to eat, and there was no way the exhausted Aoko and Alice would stand for that. So the only other option in the end was to have something delivered.
なんと瞳子さんについていけばよかったかもしれないな、俺。
Maybe you should have. Soujuurou opened his wallet as he second-guessed the situation. His eyes settled on the third and final 10,000 yen bill in his wallet and stared back at them forlornly, reluctantly to leave his home. I'm sorry, baby. With a heavy heart, he bid it farewell. Oh boy, that was,